Welcome to Our Drummers Musicians. I'm your host Luke, and today I'm chatting with the fantastic Beth Feik, guitarist, songwriter, and founding member of Melbourne's indie punk band, the Vovos. Beth's journey in music is a great one, from discovering a passion at Girls Rock Australia to forming the Vovos, a band that has become a staple in the local punk scene. She's played some incredible gigs, including performing at the Sidney Myer Music Bowl at just 17 years old in front of 4,000 people. In this episode, we talk about the punk scene in Melbourne, the importance of mentorship, and what it's like to grow up playing music with a tight-knit band. Beth's energy, passion for music, and community are infectious. I had a blast with this conversation, and I think you will too. Now we've got line of sight, and that feels a bit nicer.
Yeah, it feels slightly more conversational.
Yeah. So how many people are buying crumpets, like walking in the door to be like, I would like an artisanally local and handcrafted crumpet, please?
We've opened 2 days, and the first day people would come in and be like, can I get a crumpet? And we'd be like, no, you can have coffee. Shut up, take your coffee. Because we hadn't prepped it. But then we were selling the leftover crumpets from the orders from the night before. And they were we weren't even advertised. There was just a sign out being you can get coffee one. I think 16 people came in.
Wow.
And I was like, why? I don't understand this. I don't understand you. The fact that you would unadvertised walk in and specifically seek, and that would be people who come in and be like, can I please buy a crumpet? We'd be like, yeah, or they would just get really disappointed if they couldn't I don't know. It's just wild. It's such a different universe to me. Because who has time to specifically go on a run to just get crumpets from a shop front that doesn't even advertise that they're selling crumpets yet? It's frightening. A whole different world. Yeah.
How does it feel working in these two fields? You play music, but then you also watch the absurdity of people's time and money being spent on crumpets.
It's really quite fantastic. It's two very different. I have one friend actually who he really is trying to merge the two, where he's like, I want your work to sponsor me. And I was like, dude, it is a very small business. We're not sponsoring you. And he's like, no, I just want them to give me 15 crumpets to sell at a merch desk at one of my gigs. And I'm like, I just think that these are two very different worlds. Where I think that the 20-year-old punks don't have $15 to be spending on 6 crumpets. I don't think that that's how it works. But I really do enjoy the contrast, because I get lots of free crumpets from leftovers and stuff. And so nice. I just pull up at the pub with six packs and just sling them around. And everyone's like, why are there crumpets at the pub right now?
So there's 6 packs of crumpets.
Yeah, that's the normal format that we sell them in.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming to have a chat on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I just thought it'd be fun because we met playing Hanny's show, but we didn't get much of a chance to chat.
Yeah.
So I was like, this could be fun to get to know you and more about the Vovos and your journey to get there. And I gave you a quick Google, and I found it hilarious that you were had a photo in The Age with Beth got a good mark on her exam.
Oh my god.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, it's so.
Not even a good mark. It's a 45. That's an excellent mark. A+ mark, but Beth received a good mark on her exam.
Yeah, I found it really. I don't understand who the target audience for these news articles are, because when I graduated high school, there were a couple, and I was like, who's reading these? And also, I would go and read them, and so many of them would be she's smart, and she's in a band. You wouldn't believe that people could do two at once. And I was just I don't. What's it for? It's interesting that you say that, because literally yesterday I was talking with Bus, and I was like, I wonder what would come up if you Googled me. And I was probably would be a really weird mix of Vovos, and she can write essays.
Yeah. And I found a secondary Instagram account.
Oh no.
I assume it's you, but then I thought maybe it's a fan. No. A fan account.
This is was created because my high school friends thought it was hilarious. We played the Sidney Myer Music Bowl when we were 17, which was crazy and cool. But then my friends were like, this is really funny. You must have fans. You have to have a public account. And I was like, no, I don't want random people who happen to see me at this one random show. And so then they were like, don't worry, we'll do it. And they just made this torture account. And so now I forget. And they're cool people that follow it, because they're like, oh, this must be Bethany. But it's no, it's stupid photos my friends posted when I was 17.
Yeah, because I think it's called like Beth from the Vovos or something.
Yeah, it's terrifyingly searchable.
Well, I feel like the rest of the stuff that comes up is like legitimate, related to your music and things.
That's comforting.
Are you happy to share maybe how you first got started with music?
Yeah, well, my mum was a music teacher, and so like it was very not optional as a child. Like that, my brother and I both had to be learning an instrument, and I think that for the first like 10 years of that, it was very begrudging because we were children. We didn't want to have to like sit down and practice stuff. But then by the time I was like 12 or 13, I think I was like, no, I want to be in a band. I was obsessed with School of Rock when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was like, that really fed into some dreams. And so then I did a music program called Girls Rock, Melbourne, when I was like 14, I think.
Okay. I don't know anything about that program.
It's really cool. I don't know. I think they kind of stopped running it. Like I think COVID kind of killed it a little bit. But
okay.
It's like this awesome initiative. It's called Amplified now, I think.
Oh.
And it's like it's very sort of community led with like just awesome women in like the music scene and stuff. And then they organize it, and it's like a 1-week program on the school holidays for like kids aged like 12 to 19 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you just come in and they just put you in bands. And you don't even have to, like, they teach you how to play an instrument if you don't know. Like, I did it twice. And the first time I did guitar, which I already played. But then the second time I did drums, which I was terrible at. But, like, it was fun to try something new. And so then you have to write a song over the course of a week. And then they have, like, a showcase at the end. And you get to play, like, an actual venue. Like, I think we did one at the Toad or whatever. Which when you're, like, 13, 14, you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and there's lots of, like they're sick. I know, like, some people from, like, the Cable Ties were, like, volunteers there at one point. And, like, I think at the first one they did like Courtney Barnett played, Camp Cope played, because they have also like lunchtime performances.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like really cool way of bringing like opening that space up to like, because also it's sort of designed for like non-male and like queer people in general. And so yeah, I don't know, that was just a sick thing to get to do when I was young. And then it kind of like through that I met my bandmates in kind of a roundabout fashion.
Okay.
And then we just were really weirdly intense about like the fact that we were like 14, but we were like, no, we have to have band rehearsal every Friday. And if you skip it, you must justify it.
Wow.
It must be
great.
serious. Yeah.
Who was like leading that?
I think we were all pretty like I sort of, my bandmates, Ada and Lu, like they met at the first Girls Rock and were like, let's start a band.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of didn't. And then at the second Girls Rock, I met Ada. And then Ada and Lu were like, let's start a band still. And then I heard about it from a mutual friend. Like, I was out the back of like a high school like music performance night about to do like my choir performance or whatever, and then I was talking to one of my friends and he was like, oh yeah, my friend Lou's starting a band, and I was like, I'm in, I want in. And then I just actually like barely knew them at all before we started, but I was like, come to my house, we have all the instruments, let's go. And then like I think it was just kind of this mutual thing where we were just all very like, no, this is serious business.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah,
especially that you've been able to maintain it like that for so long. Because so many like, you know, high school bands are like, it only lasts like a year or like, you know, a term, or maybe it's like a couple of years while you're at high school together.
Yeah.
But I guess you all had like the vision and drive to be like, no, like we're taking this seriously now. And so it's like, you know, just constantly building from there. Yeah,
no, I actually like, at the time we were like, no, obviously this is a pop, but looking back on it, like we had like 2 rehearsals or something, and then my bandmate, Lu, she's from Argentina, and she went back for like 6 months. Oh. And at no point were we like, maybe we'll stop doing the band while Lu's away. We're like, no, Lu's away, but we're still going to rehearse and we're still going to write songs and we're going to send it to her. And Lu was gone. She was like, yeah, obviously Vovos is still a thing. It's like, we've been doing this for like 2 months. How is this much of a mindset? But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that we had that, because now I think it's made us a really unusual band, because like, it's very collaborative when we work together, because it just always has been that way. And it's very like I feel like I'm in a different band, and if someone left, we would just get someone else. Whereas if someone left the Vovos, it would be like major, like, what do we do? Restructuring, like, big thing, because it's so like, just like, I think in our bios a lot we use the word soul bonded, where we're just like, it just feels like the unit.
Yeah.
Because of that, the way it came to be.
So were any of you at school together?
Yeah, so Ada, our lead singer, and our keys player were at school together, and then our drummer Mika, who joined a couple of years in, also went to school with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then Lu and I went to different schools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that sounds like an awesome program.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so cool that you were able to find those connections like so early, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because had you had any other, like bands other than like music school programs before, the Vovos?
I think I had like one where I was really obsessed with the idea of starting a band, and then like I was like to my like high school friends, I was like, "Come on, we got to do this," but they were very like, "Yeah, I guess," but they didn't really. Hello.
Is this okay with Scout?
Yeah.
Cool.
This is a massive privilege.
Oh no,
I'm worried that she's interfering with the podcast.
No, this is Scout has now become a feature of various interruptions of the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good result.
Yeah.
For the people. Yeah, but that one, I had the drive. I would say that they did. We had like one, and we like learned a cover of some random song, and then called it a day.
Yeah.
And I was very much like, guys, you failed me. You don't understand. And then I think that kind of like made the intensity even more. Like when the Vovos happened, I was like, no, okay, we're all in. Everyone's on the same page.
And was everyone in it like, we're going to be a punk band from the start too?
I don't think we've ever like talked about the genre really, which is something like, there was actually something we get ran up against a bit. Not ran up against, but we were kind of talking about it like at rehearsal the other week. We were like, okay, next album. And one of my bandmates was like, let's like figure out the direction for it. And I was like, I don't think I want like to do that. I want it to be way more organic. Like obviously we've become a punk band, and I think for me, like I have always, like I was raised on punk music. That's where I come from. But I feel that it's been something of like a long-term victory for me, because I think when we started, like I was really into punk music, and the others, like they've been like, they have that, like they grew up listening to like similar bands and stuff like that. But like I think it's very much like become this thing where that was the world that I was always very pulled to. And I think that more and more, like especially Ada, like our music tastes have converged somewhat.
Cool.
And yeah, I don't know, I think I would struggle to like, I just think that's a style of guitar I enjoy playing. So I think that anything that I play in, like when I was playing guitar for Hanny, I found it really interesting. I felt like I was doing a really bad job, just because I was like, the reason why I wanted to do it is I was like, this is a challenge, because she's obviously more like folky indie singer-songwriter or whatever, but it's like interesting trying to get your head around a whole different like style.
Yes. Yeah, I guess if you're constantly playing within one like subgenre of rock music, yeah, it would be quite different being like, oh, okay, she wants me to play like single lines in like a alternative folk pop rock vibe.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of similar, but I guess listening to you say it's like, oh no, it is actually very different. Yeah,
it's like I can play it, but it was especially when she would be like, just like figure something out. And she's lovely, but she's not good at like giving direction all the time. And so I'd be trying to like fiddle those around. I'm like, is this what you want from me? Because I don't know what the goal is right now. Like I need you to tell me, I guess. But I mean, it was a really good challenge. Just interesting. Because like growing up, I like had guitar lessons, and I learned like different styles of guitar and stuff like that a bit. So I think I have the flexibility, but I just don't really use it very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the theoretical knowledge versus like just practically doing it.
Yeah.
And if it's not something you do very often, then like if somebody called me to play like a jazz gig, which very rarely happens, but occasionally it does.
Yeah.
It's terrifying and stressful, because it's like, okay, well, like I can play like, generic swing patterns and like the things, but I don't have like the vernacular to like really express myself in a way that's like really interesting and engaging, and like play solos and stuff that like actually has something to say. Like it's not there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I only did that for such a short time at uni.
Yeah, and I don't know. Well, for me, part of it I think was also that like I don't really listen to that genre of music, and so when I'm doing like punk music, I can like be drawn from inspirations and also like know that I like what I'm doing. Yes. Whereas like I love Hanny's songs, to be clear, but like in terms of the genre, I'm like, I don't feel like what I'm doing is interesting right now. But I also recognize that like lots of people it probably is, and I wonder if that is similar for you with like jazz music, where you just are not familiar with like that style of music and what you would even think of as good within it.
That's so interesting. I don't know. I think I was thinking more along the lines of like, I don't have the technical chops to like pull off the, idea that I hear in my brain.
Yeah.
Because I still listen to a lot of jazz music.
Yeah, right.
But I don't play it. So, you know, it's like with anything, like you sort of keep the basics, but like all of your extended language just like disappears when you don't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's interesting about like, yeah, that you can appreciate for what it is, but it's not like resonating with you. So you're not feeling the like confidence to be like, oh yeah, like I'm loving this, which I guess is like a different way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just think it's because I listen to enough punk and rock music that I'm like, I think I have an image in my mind of what I think is boring punk music and what I think is interesting punk music.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do that in indie. I'm just like, sometimes I'll find like a indie song or whatever that I'm like, oh, I like that song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually have like the nuances of the genre down in my mind as much, or like what I like in it in that way. Yeah.
So what's like, can you share your history of like love of punk from like, you know, when you started listening to now, and has it always been like current acts or like some real classic ones that you just keep going back to all the time? What's the vibe?
I think like my parents have a really, well, especially my dad, he's really intense about like, if he ever catches me listening to something that's more than like 5 years old, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like he gives me so much shit. He's like, it's not the 90s anymore. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, but like this music is really old and boring to you because you were live in the 90s. Like if I'm going back and listening to like the Breeders or whatever, maybe it's because I haven't listened to the Breeders much and I actually am like exploring a new side of music a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And so I grew up like, there was like, my mum really liked Sonic Youth and like Pixies and I don't know, lots of like just kind of staples of like I guess indie rock and alternative kind of stuff from that period. And also I'm trying to even remember right now. I don't know, I also like, it wasn't only punk, like we listened to like Belle and Sebastian sometimes, which I feel like is weirdly like a band that I like. It never occurs to me that they're always in my top 5 Spotify artists usually. But anyway, and then growing up, kind of very much my dad driving like, this band's old now, we must get new bands and stuff. And so I think a lot of high school I was sort of even more leaning towards like pop punk, not like, never like Fall Out Boy territory, but kind of in like slightly more independent, that kind of area. And my favorite band for a lot of high school was a band called the Cloud Nothings, which are kind of like alternative rock style. But then now I think as I've gotten older, it's become a lot more like local bands all the time. Which I listened to it like in high school. I think through Girls Rock I got to know like a lot of like Camp Cope, Cable Ties, that kind of territory, and I was definitely obsessed. Whereas now like I think it's become very much steeped in like Dr. Shaw's Unusual Practice and lots of like mainstays of the local scene, I guess.
How do you find it being like someone who's in the local scene and listening to the local scene when like so much of modern music is like just streamed online and like the culture of people going to see music is changing and no one buys records really anymore unless it's like, you know, an exciting like vinyl enthusiast or something. But you're like a young musician connected to the scene.
I think it's just like, I just think it's great because I find it really funny when I get really obsessed with a band, and sometimes I get this disconnect where I forget that it's also just like a person that I can go and meet and talk to and probably would know who I am and stuff like that. And it's like I get like ridiculous. Sometimes it makes it like hard when Vovos are trying to like plan lineups or whatever, because they're like, okay, who do we get? And I'm like, obviously we need to get Dr. Shaw's. And they're like, Bethany, we can't always get Dr. Shaw's. And also like objectively, like we all like them, but you're just obsessed with, like, you can't, they're not always like the right band for every lineup. And like not everyone is just thinks that they're the best band in the world. It's like, well, agree to disagree. But then I think it's like this lovely surreal thing where then it just means that when we do want to work with them, like I can just email him and he's like, oh, that's awesome, I'll be so excited. And I'm like, this is crazy that you're willing to like work with that. And I guess it's so nice to have that local, like when I talk to my friends who just aren't at all involved in the music scene, I'm like, it just seems so much sadder to just like have to, I guess it also is a very different kind of fandom where like I have friends who are really into Taylor Swift. And like, it's interesting because all of that fandom then happens like through the internet and through like TikTok and like online fan communities and stuff like that. Whereas like, it's so opposite to like the kind of fandom that I experience with the bands I like is like you go to the pub, you talk to your friends who also go to the gigs, and then maybe you meet those people and see the other bands that they might be in and like have this really like community centered in like a physical way, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's so true. It's so different, that online to practical face-to-face, like real world sort of interactions, and like what that brings about. And like, I don't know, I feel like the level of excitement that there is for like online music is kind of different. Like you can still deep dive into things, but it can also be quite isolating. Whereas like, yeah, if you're there with all your friends that are all like fans and you're in the room, it's, I don't know, for me, I find it to be such a different experience. Like it can be exciting watching a YouTube video of a band that I like playing a live gig in America or England or something, but I don't know, the enthusiasm I feel for that is just like on a completely different level when that band comes out, or I'm seeing a local act that I really like. You just, I don't know, get excited in a different way, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it lets you make it real in a different way, you know, like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, how do you feel about, you know, having started this band that's then become, you know, quite successful in your scene? I was going to say quite quickly, but it's not really quite quickly because you started when you were so young. So there's like, you know, the whole early build of like the 14-year-olds.
Yeah, it's definitely got a weird ebb and flow because of that progression, for sure.
But like, you know, like you said, you're 17 and you're playing the Sidney Myer Music Bowl. What's that journey been like?
I think it's just very surreal, I guess, because like, especially now I find it interesting because I think in like the last year and a half or something, it's become so much more like we used to take it really seriously, but it just kind of was funny that we did because there was no actual reason to beyond the fact that we'd all collectively decided that this was obviously a massive priority. And if you had really had to study for your exam, I guess that's okay, but it's kind of bad that you're missing rehearsal for your VC exam or whatever, you know? Whereas now it's like, no, like we have to organize tours, we have to like put this like vinyl out, like we're talking to booking agents and stuff, like it's actually is like a priority. But then it's funny because it's more just like the world has caught up with our mindset instead of like anything changing in the way that we see the band, I guess.
Yeah, interesting.
Which I think is really funny. But I don't know. Honestly, it's such a rewarding thing to have got to do. Because also when I just think about the progression of the band, there have been so many like, I guess, mentor figures that we've had helping us through that, which I recognize not everyone necessarily gets when they're entering into the music scene. Because like, I think a lot of people, they just like turn 18, start showing up at the pub, don't really have anyone to like guide them through or whatever. Whereas I think because we kind of did it in the opposite way, where like we weren't really going to gigs that much because there aren't that many all ages shows or whatever, and so it would more just be like occasionally we would play a show, and I don't even know who are these people that were offering gigs to 15-year-olds. Like the older I get there, I'm more on like, I would never, if I showed up at Nighthawks and I just saw like a band of 15-year-olds playing, I would be like, what is going on? This is terrifying. But anyway, and so then I guess there's lots of figures that like just helped us through those early, like it started off with people from Girls Rock, and then when we were putting out our first like album EP thing, we had like a different group of people there, and like it kind of feels nice to grow through that and always have figures in the industry where you feel like you can turn to them for like help, which now I think with growing out the web, and we still have those figures for sure, like our manager and our record label and stuff are great for that, but like I don't know, it's really interesting to have those like focal points, I guess. Yeah. To be able to explore the scene, which I don't think everyone gets.
No, I think you're right. It's quite special and unique to have that, the guidance of like mentor figures that, it's been interesting. So many of the podcast guests have mentioned different like mentors and stuff like that like have helped them through at like various levels, of, you know, pulling them into gigs with them and moving it on or giving them some advice throughout the years. So maybe it is part of, like for me, listening to all the stories of people, it's like, there's this trend that people that had some kind of mentor figure or people came in with like sage advice early on to help them through. They're the ones that are sort of like able to like really make it. They're like, there's still lots of self-made acts and stuff going around, but yeah, I think that, the experience that you share of having those people help you through the process and and learning about what it's like, it really seems to make such a big difference.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess it's just the kind of thing where you're just, I mean, you learn a lot as well, but it can save you from making a lot of stupid fucking mistakes. Like, I don't know.
Are you immediately thinking of something that you tried to do and someone stepped in and said, no, Beth, that's...
I just think that there's so much of like, I don't know, like just waving your hands around blindly in the dark, being like, what? I don't have any idea. Or even like, I feel like since we have a manager who just through the kindness of her own heart, like reached out a few years ago and was like, do you want me to manage you? And she's been working for us, kind of in like a slightly informal way, but like she's like been in a successful band, toured internationally, like really like knows a lot about the industry. And I think that as we've grown up out of high school, I think a lot of us, like, we really understand the punk world, but then there's this whole industry world where occasionally like a booking agent will just email me and be like, hey, do you want a booking agent? And I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And so I think it's so invaluable to like have someone that we really trust to just be able to be like, is this person trying to rip us off? Like, are they gonna like steal our whole catalog or like waste our time or whatever? And I think that like having had all those years of figuring out like the punk world and kind of figuring out what we want from the Vovos, and then having like figures there to, I guess, help us understand the more like commercial professional side of stuff and see how we can use that to get where we want feels very reassuring, I guess.
So where does the band want to go now?
I think currently what I want from the band is I want to be very like grounded in the community in the way that we are, but also then if we could play cool festivals and play cool support slots and stuff, that would be really lovely. And I think that's what I want. Like I don't want to like become one of those bands that gets a booking agent and gets the opportunity to like play more big shows and then just stops like ever being present around town, I guess.
Oh yeah, like, sure.
I feel like it's very important to me, and I think for all of us that we like, because I think that's like, I mean, for me that's what brings me the most joy out of like we've played like, I don't know, we played Northcote Theatre a few months ago and I was like, this is cool, but then like comparing that to like playing like a show at the Gem with like a bunch of bands that I really respect, talking to like other musicians that I like think are really cool, I was like, this one is so much more meaningful to me, I guess. And so I think I want to like navigate a balance between those two.
Yeah, that's really important, and really interesting that you're like not just, I just want to play festival stages or whatever. It's like, no, like I want to be in the music community that's local as well as that, because you see so many bands just like follow a curve of like it starts local and then they move on and then they don't do it much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, I just think that the thing that I have always found really valuable about this is like just getting the opportunity to like work with other musicians and other like even doing art, like working with artists and stuff like that I just really respect. Like I think that's what I find fun more than like look at how big and fancy this opportunity seems or whatever.
Yeah. Well, what's it like then? Because the Vovos live show is just like full of energy, and like I feel like it brings that kind of like festival excitement like to a show already.
Oh, that's very nice.
How does it feel for you on stage, like playing those shows?
I think it's just really fun. I don't know, yeah. like it just
like it comes across like that, like everyone's just having like the absolute best time.
I think that's what we really try to do, and I think that so much of that comes from like it's this funny thing where the best set that we've ever played, we played to there was like the only people in the audience were like the other bands that were playing like right at the back of the room, and then like our friend and housemate who was coming in solidarity, and that's the best set we've ever played. Because I think it comes from the connection we have with each other, where like I think we just really enjoy being around each other in the good moments, you know, and like we really just enjoy playing music together. And I think that the sets that I always feel best from, and that I think we bring the best energy to, are the sets where we're just really locked in with each other. And so I almost like that's what I'm chasing, is like in spite of the audience. I mean, obviously you want to connect with the audience, but like, I don't know, that one show we played at the Cactus Room was like, I'm chasing that high all the time. Yeah. Where like we can just have energy and not need it from the crowd and just be like, no, like we have this between the five of us.
Yeah. Do you have like a any kind of like ritual or like pre-show routine of the band to like, get yourselves into that mindset, or you personally?
I think we try to talk about the idea of having like rituals or whatever. We're like for a while we had we would do like a little like classic like huddle situation on the side of the stage or whatever. But nowadays I think so much more often it's like just the chaotic of like, okay, we need to go on. Okay, like who's in the bathroom? Where's everyone? Like who's getting a drink right now? What's going on? And then like sometimes it gets to a point where we're like, okay, well let's just go on. We'll start making noise, and then they'll figure out that we're playing, and everyone will show up. Like it's kind of, I think that we would really like to be one of the sophisticated bands that can have a pre-show ritual, but currently we're not quite like punctual enough to pull that off.
Well, I guess like part of that is like the difference of like playing small rooms like the Gem where it's on the floor, like in the bar, versus like, a bigger show that has a green room and the band entry is different, and like you actually have the space that's forcing the practicalities of people not going missing or whatever.
yeah, it's a difficult journey.
Well, what are you feeling excited about with your music outside of the Vovos?
I don't know. I really, I have this other band, Rev, that I'm in, that's like just actually so opposite of Vovos in terms of like, just my friend Lockie writes all the music for it, and then we just like, play the occasional gig and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know, I found it really good because Vovos, I think that we write music that I'm really proud of, and I really think that they're awesome. But like, we're not the most like technically tight band, necessarily individually. Whereas like Rev is like, everyone there is just obsessed with their instrument. They play their instrument all the time, and they're just really tight. And so then I feel this constant need to like keep up with that skill level that they're bringing, I guess.
Oh yeah, sure.
Which I find really enjoyable. And then it just is that feels so much more about just like having fun. And I think for all of us, like everyone has a different band that is more of their main band, and then Rev is just like, no, let's just like catch up and play some music. And I think it's really refreshing having that as like a counterpoint. And that's something that I've been doing like for the past year or so, which has been really rewarding, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've been playing this game on the podcast where I get each guest to ask a question of the next guest.
Oh wow, okay.
And so I've got a question for you from the previous guest, Gormy.
Okay.
Who's just finished playing bass on Angie McMahon's tour. And he also, he's a great sound engineer. Now, the slight difference of this question is that Gormy has asked me to leave his entire free-flowing state of creation of his question.
Okay.
So generally, I would just cut out the 10-second question. But strap yourself in for about 3 minutes of Gormy's question for you.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm excited.
I guess this one, it's a bit cliche, but I'm a bit of a cliche guy. But after having a kid... all these things. Can I add this to my question? Like, can the foreshadowing be in the question? Okay, so dear guest, here's my question. It's going to meander, but like one day we'll meet and you'll realize how much of a meandering person I am. But after having my kid, my child Otis, I always catch myself thinking about little shreds of advice I wish I could have had from myself. So all the little things that I'm showing him now, the ways to just be like a soft, gentle person. Not to say that my parents didn't do it for me, but I wish that I had myself to give me the advice as I was growing up, like a little guardian angel. My question is, what advice, if you could be your own guardian angel as a small child, or as an 18-year-old, or as like a 24-year-old, which I found was the hardest time in my life. I was going through hard things. What would be the advice you would give yourself in times when you needed it? And I hope that question makes sense. Maybe I should try. Maybe could you summarize what my question is, after knowing me and listening to me bullshit for 90 minutes?
Yeah, I think that it's quite similar to the final question that I ask every guest,
Oh, no.
which is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Oh. So
But yours is a bit more broad, slightly. But if I was to condense it down most simply, are you asking, would you want yourself to give that advice, or what advice would you give yourself at one of those like pivotal ages?
That's like a better question, isn't it? Would you want yourself to be your own guardian angel, like a version of you from the future? Okay, I'm going to rephrase the question, but I still want you to play all the bullshit.
Sure, I'll just play this whole thing.
Just play this whole thing. Okay, so I want to know whether you would want, if you had the option to have a future version of yourself come back in time and give you advice about your life, would you want that, or would you just be happy to go through your life the way you've gone through it to this point?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm really excited to know that the worst period of my life is yet to come. That's something to look forward to. 24 is going to be a fun one, I reckon.
That is the fun of not knowing who the questions are going for.
Yeah.
That some of them are a real hit and some of them...
No, it's good. I don't know. Honestly, like, I think my answer is that I wouldn't want me to be a guardian angel for myself. I don't know. I think part of that is probably that, like, honestly, I had a very, like, I wouldn't say it was sheltered, but I just think it happened to be a very easy childhood.
Mhm.
Like, I think I was just lucky enough to have, like, comfy? Good. Parents who were really committed to being good parents and, like, financial security and family I got along with and stuff like that. So, like, maybe if I had a more traumatizing childhood, I would have felt the need for the guidance or whatever. But, like, in general, I just think that it is really, I mean, it's a cliche, but you learn so much from making, like, the mistakes that you do make or whatever. Like, and I think that, like, I'm not mad about the path that I've gone on to get to where I am today so far. I think if I had to say anything, I'll probably just tell myself to, like, relax a little bit. Like, I think I was a reasonably uptight child a lot of the time.
Okay.
And I feel like I've been trying to, like, key that back recently.
Scout off
There's some ASMR for the mic there. But yeah, I don't know. In general, I think that you kind of have to muddle through. And I think that if I had a future version of myself coming through and being like, "Don't worry, I got you here," I think that would interfere with the process somewhat.
Yeah, interesting.
Also, potentially, you're going to create some dangerous, like, sort of time loops, like stepping on a butterfly kind of riffles that you might cause problems down the line.
All right, well, maybe we'll check in like 15 years' time when you're Gormy's age.
Yeah.
I don't know how old Gormy is, like maybe mid-30s?
Yeah.
And what, you're like 20? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how you went getting through 24.
Yeah. Well, maybe 24. Maybe I want to know that, like, a 35 version of myself can come back when I'm 24 and give me some tips. Maybe that's when I'm going to need it.
We'll check in and see.
Yeah.
As we follow you through your journey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what question would you like to ask our next guest?
This is a very stressful point to have reached. Let me try and think of something cool. I guess one thing that I have been thinking about more recently with the just especially with the Vovos and the direction we're going and, like, with this new album and stuff like that, is I think we've reached a point where we need to figure out, like, what is the goal of what we're doing here. So, like, I guess I would be interested to know, like, why are they doing music, and what do they see the purpose of that for? Like, is it a career that they want to do for the rest of life? And if so, like, what are they trying to get out of that career? Like, what aspect of that is the thing that they find really valuable that they're trying to pursue?
Would you like to put on, like, your best radio voice and give me, like, a really nice sound clip of that question?
Yeah, I mean, I can try. Let me figure out what the most succinct way of expressing that sentiment is.
I think you did it very well, but I thought I'd give you the opportunity.
Okay. All right. Okay, my question for the next guest is, what is the goal of music for you, and what are you trying to get out of it in your life? Is it a career or is it a hobby? And if it is either of those things, then what aspect of it brings you value?
That's a really awesome question.
Thank you.
Are you happy to share some of the things that you're thinking about? Like, it sort of sounds like you're sort of wrestling with what that is for you.
Well, I think one thing that I found really interesting, it kind of freaked me out a little bit, is we had a meeting that we had with someone, like a industry person recently, and so much of what they were talking about when we were talking about working together and stuff was they were like, okay, well, we're gonna like really like grow your fan base and like find ways to tap into that kind of stuff. And the whole time I was like, oh, like that's not what I want at all. Like, I don't want to just like mindlessly make all the numbers bigger and stuff like that. And it kind of like freaked me because I was like, what are we doing then? Like, why? And then I think I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, well, do you want to be a musician or not? Because that's like how you like make money out of that or whatever. And I was like, that's not what the goal is. Like, I guess it comes back to earlier when I was talking about community. Like, I don't know, like I always find it kind of surreal because very obviously we're not famous, but very occasionally I meet someone who I realize has kind of constructed a version of me in their head that is famous, kind of thing. And like, I'm not quite a person to them. I'm like a person in a band that they think is cool. And I find it very like jarring and weird. And so I don't like, I just realized that that's not really what I'm going for. Like, I want, and I think that like when I look at, I don't know if you know the band GT from Sydney, but they're just like an egg punk band kind of thing, but they're like quite successful. And
Hang on, sorry, did you say egg punk?
Egg punk? Are you familiar with egg punk?
I'm not familiar with that phrase.
I think maybe this is me being too fucking in my lane of punk music.
no,
egg
it's
punk
cool.
is like
what's egg punk?
It's like the I think it's a very silly genre, which I say with love because a lot of my friends write egg punk songs, and I do think they're fun and they're like really fun. Like, they're some of the most fun live shows I go to, but it's just like fast little guitars and like silly little like poppy synth riffs, and then it's all of like the men who take it very seriously, and you listen to it and you're like, this is hilarious music that like with GT as well, a lot of my friends are really intense about like this is the best band in the world. And it's like, it's great stuff, but he just writes like 1 minute songs that go like doo-doo-doo-doo, and like just like have their little fun riff. Like, it's a really fun genre, but I don't know, like the guy behind that, Kel, I just am really impressed with the way that like GT is really like successful. Like, they've toured America, they tour Europe, they like so many people around like Australia that I know are like, you're like a god to me kind of vibe. But like, he's still so grounded and down to earth and talks to you like you're a person. And I really sense that like he's just there because he really loves making music and he really likes playing music and like doing creative stuff. And he's just like, I guess, not become overwhelmed by like chasing. Like, I think he could be making a lot more money than he does probably if he like went a more industry route, and like probably could be working a lot less hard. But I think that they're just still are so connected to the community, and I don't know, I think that ultimately is what I want.
I guess that's like such an intense and difficult thing to like really think about and grapple with. Like, I want to make music, but then, okay, well, practically, you know, how am I doing that? Am I turning it into, like, I got to grow fans because they've got to give me money and I've got to do that? Or do I work another job? Or do I, play a different kind of music that makes more money so I can play the music that I want to make because I love it? And, like, I feel like it's just, like, the biggest challenge for musicians really is, like, trying to figure out, well, I have this passion for, like, playing my instrument or playing in my band or whatever, sort of like more purist type, like I just love playing the drums.
Yeah.
But like, how do you do that in life?
Yeah, I think my mom's worried I'm gonna burn myself out and be broke forever. Which I don't see that happening, but like, yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to try and grapple with. But
well, it's really nice to hear your enthusiasm for the band and the music that you're making and like the excitement you have for the local scene. And I just think it's really cool and it's great what you're doing. So yeah, it'll be cool to see what the next chapter of, the Vovos and your other music is too.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
I like to finish with 5 short answer questions.
Okay, all right.
So let's just do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Hopefully I remember what they are.
No pressure.
What is your favourite venue to play in Melbourne?
I do really like the Gem. I just think they have like a lovely vibe there. I really like a free show, and I just think it's such a like nice community feeling there.
Is it always a free show at the Gem?
I think so, yeah. I struggle to imagine how they would even set it up to ticket it, to be honest. I've never paid for a show there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I for like the super regular listeners that were around in the early days, a couple of guests, Dom Gerard from Mutual Colour and Zom Beaches, and NYCK, and who else? Holly Thomas, drummer with Husky and Quivers and things.
Yeah.
Both of them said the Gem was their favourite venue, and I'd never heard of it before.
You should.
But I've been.
Yeah.
I went and saw On Beaches play.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, and it was awesome and a great vibe. So now I feel like I'm cool because, like you said, the Gem, and I know what the Gem is, and I've been there. And,
no.
but clearly, like, you know, I've only been there once, and so I didn't know if it was a ticketed place or not. So I got to go again to like actually get into the scene. But it was really fun.
It's also like they just do like they do like a lot of Saturday and Sunday afternoon shows, and so it's such a nice ritual of like.
Oh, afternoon, not evening.
Well, yeah, I think they do evening shows as well.
Yes,
but like it's such a. I feel like sometimes you go to a Saturday afternoon show and you go to the Gem and then you meet all the people and then it's like, okay, what are we doing next? Like, what's on for the weekend? It feels like the start of like the weekend, and it's a good like social like reset point, I guess.
So is there a big like hang scene in that you know, circle of musicians?
I think so. Or like often I guess it depends on the show, because I do think that they have like Gem is also good at doing a very wide variety, but I feel like there's often like shows that I just look at, you know, like you go through sticky carpets and you're like, guess what shows all of your different friends will be going to like meet up with, figure out who you want to hang out with that weekend. And I think the Gem often ends up being something of a mecca for that.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
All right, what would be your dream venue to play at?
I mean, I feel like maybe this one's a bit basic, but I would really like to play the Forum. I just think that the Forum is like really architecturally cool.
Yes.
And like maybe that's a stupid reason to play a venue, but like I do just think it would be sick.
No, absolutely. I think the Forum is the most selected dream venue on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to ask about playing at the Bowl though, because
True.
that is also a venue that a lot of people have as a dream venue.
Yeah, I mean that was just wild. Going from like, because it was like lockdown or like in between lockdowns, and I was in year 12, and it was just like, why are we playing in front of like 4,000 people or whatever? It was such a like wild, random opportunity to have, I guess. But it was very cool. Definitely felt very pampered. I think we were all very like overwhelmed of like. I remember they asked for a ride and we were like, I don't know. And we were like 17, so we're not going to like ask for like liquor or anything. And I think we asked for like a sushi platter or something, and we ate it on the floor of the dressing room. And we were like, nice. We're in the big leagues now.
Yeah. Was that like okay, now we really got to update our rider and think about this properly going forward? Like, what's on the rider now?
No, I think
outrageous amounts of, I don't know, sushi.
Still just sushi. So just give us like $6 of sushi, please. I don't know. I think riders are something that like every time someone asks me for a rider, I like panic. I'm like, I don't know, because you never know. I never know what is reasonable. Like I want them to give me the budget that they're working with, so that I can, because I'm gonna feel stupid if I could ask for like dinner, but I also don't want to ask for dinner and then they like panic and they're like, oh my god, these people are too big for their boots. Like they want me to give them dinner.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely that's the area that I'm most uncomfortable in musically, is when someone asks me for a rider.
I don't know where you get the rules from.
Yeah, I know. Someone needs to tell me.
Yeah, write into the podcast, comment on our social media posts about rider recommendations and structures,
please.
What is your coffee order?
Oh, this is okay. So my coffee order, I think, is a long black. However, I find them to be very like, if you go and purchase a long black from somewhere, often it's really terrible, and so I think I'm learning to maybe. I need to figure out if a place does good coffee, and then I can figure out if I trust them to give me a long black or not. And otherwise, I think I would probably go for just like flat white.
Okay.
Something basic. Yeah.
What's your method of long black at home?
Well, we just have like one of the like mocha pots or whatever. We just do that on the stove, and then I do like a very unsophisticated like get the hot. We used to have our old house. We had a really weirdly good hot water heater, and it would get like boiling hot like so fast. And now we've moved houses a couple months ago, and I'm struggling to like get like the warm water going. But yeah, it's not extremely sophisticated, unfortunately.
What is your favorite place to get food after a gig in Melbourne?
That's a really good question. There must be something that like, I mean, honestly, like playing a show at the gym, and then they give you like 15 or like 25% off the food or something as well. So like playing a set and then having like $10 dinner feels nice. Feels really good, and that's just like burgers usually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, mega shout out to the gym. This podcast
Yeah.
Everybody get down
There
to the gym. What's your burger order?
I think normally I do just go if it's got pickles in it. I feel like that kind of draws me. So often that just ends up being like a cheeseburger or something. Yeah.
All right. Final question. What is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Well, now I feel like we've kind of circled back somewhat, but I do think I would just tell myself to relax a little bit. I feel like I was very like, I don't think I was extremely painful to be around, but I think I had a lot of like images of like, this is my way of doing things or whatever. And I think that I've very much been pulling down those walls a bit lately, which has been good. I think Vovos has taught me a lot with that. Like I used to be very obsessed with like, I'd be really offended if people were late, which I can't do if I want to maintain my friendships with my bandmates, because that is the culture, is tardiness on some level. Yeah, and I think that if you just learn to let go of these things and recognize that stuff's going to work out even if it doesn't happen exactly by the book, it's probably, you'll have a much happier life.
Yeah, that's some wise advice. I appreciate like timeliness like you. But yeah, sometimes the uptightness for like, it's got to be done properly. Yeah, definitely holds you way back from things. So I'm glad that you're going through that phase, and especially like encouraged by the band in a positive way. Yeah. To be like, okay, well, it is okay if it's like a little bit loose.
Yeah.
But also like come on time to the gig.
Ish, please.
Be on stage for the set.
Yeah.
At least a couple like professional basics.
Yeah, I would say so. We'll get there eventually.
Well, thanks so much for having this chat with me, Beth.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Finally, I know I said finally before, but finally, I like to like put up some links on the website to like direct people if they want to get in contact with you to like, you know, check out the music that you're playing or listen to the Vovos or something. Do you run like an actual social media profile that is open to the public, or is it best to like direct people just to like the Vovos and to Rev?
Yeah, I would say Vovos and Rev is my personal Instagram. It's not of interest to the it's quite dormant, I would say. Yeah. Whereas Vovos, we work hard on I let the others take the reign, but like we work hard on having a good, cool, engaging social media. So
what's your favorite track on the 2024 album that's just come out at the time of recording this? For me to plug as the go-to track.
The go-to track. That's an interesting one. I don't even know, honestly. I really like we have a song called Obvia, and I really like the end sort of section of that. It's my favorite. Like we're not good at writing endings of songs. For this song, I feel like we wrote an ending, which I'm proud of.
Sick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for this.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Our Drummers Musicians. I hope you enjoyed diving into the world of another musician as much as I did. Help us grow by leaving a review and sharing the podcast with your friends, family, favorite artist, or anyone else who might enjoy it. For more info and updates, visit ourdrummersmusicians.com. See you next time.